And let's come back to the moat analysis, and we'll talk about the second key factor, which is increasing your buyer audience. What we want to have is more buyers at the point that you want to sell in future. And how do we do that? There are certain factors that we can always check off, especially so if we're rebuilding, or let's say we are selecting a property today. What kind of requirements should this particular property have so that in future when I want to sell, there's going to be more buyers that are going to be able to appreciate this kind of property that I'm owning. So in the landed market, this is very key because the higher price quantum that you go, the more niche your buyers become. Therefore, we also want to make sure that we have all these right requirements within our house itself, putting us in a better position when we want to sell in the future. So just quickly run through one of the key ways you can increase your buyer audience is in terms of the configuration of the home that you're going for. So if let's say you are rebuilding, or let's say today you are finding a home, what are some of the key configurations that this home should have? So of course there are many different factors. Just for the essence of time, let's talk about a few key ones that I think are hot topics for 2024. First of all is to have a lift. So lifts are great because they're going to future-proof for you, especially for multi-gen families. So having a lift, especially if you're rebuilding, I think is quite key into this context. Second one is having all your bedrooms ensuite. I think landed homeowners and families really value privacy and they want that convenience. So if you're able to create bedrooms that are all ensuite, that's really going to give you the extra edge as well over other homes that do not have such configuration. The third one is to have a designated yard, or what we also term as a laundry area. So sometimes it's like a wet kitchen, dry kitchen, followed by your laundry area, helper's room, granny's room, maybe an even outdoor patio area, because these are things that they need on a daily basis. And I think in terms of your car porch area, it will really be great if you can fit at least 2 cars inside, because we do not want to have that objection whereby, most families have at least 2 cars if let's say they are standing in a landed property, and if there's only 1 car that can park in, let's say outside it's not very ideal in terms of your road, maybe it's a heavier traffic road, or you can only park from 7 to 7, then it's always good to have that additional lot inside your house so that that's going to provide the extra convenience as well. And one of the other factors in terms of increasing your buyer audience is in terms of making sure that we have this avoidance list. So that's going to help you future-proof as well. So for example, let's say number 4, sometimes people who are still pantang, they still do mind the unit number itself. However, I would say that in today's market, I think that Singaporeans are generally less pantang. But of course, if you want to really increase your moat, right, and you want to make sure that you have all these avoidance lists, then unit numbers are also quite essential. Second one, Cheong Road, meaning to say there's maybe like a cross junctions. When it comes to general feng shui or even just noise level preference, then we want to avoid that Cheong Road as well, together with main road as well. Any different kind of setbacks, sewage lines, those are things that you really should be looking out for as well, especially when you're rebuilding. Whether it's facing any expressway, sometimes worship areas also might present a challenge itself. Sometimes facing a substation or even a bin center. These are things that we try to avoid as much as we can. Of course, there's no 100% home, but what we ideally want to do is to prevent hitting as many of this as possible. So in our moat analysis, the third factor would then be reducing unexpected outcomes. So what we mean by that is to really reduce unexpected outcomes. We do not want to buy into a home already, only to find out later on when we've completed the transaction that, hey, maybe this particular rebuilding plan is not very suited on this property that you've brought in. So for example, not knowing where the road reserve line is. So basically, there's always this road line plan that we strongly recommend buyers, especially first-time landed buyers, to go and take a look first, even before you do the purchase. Because if let's say you intend to rebuild, then the land required as road reserve has to be surrendered free of encumbrances should you wish to redevelop this plot of land in the future. So what this also means is that potentially there's a chance that you cannot fully max out your GFA because on this particular part there is a road line that's running through. You are not allowed to rebuild on this particular portion, therefore limiting your entire build-up. So I think these are present challenges that home buyers face, especially if they are not well aware of certain pitfalls to avoid before they make their property decision. Similarly, we also take a look at sewer lines because sometimes there are sewer lines running across. So that also means that if let's say you want to rebuild, you either have to observe a setback in terms of the sewer line, therefore limiting your GFA once again, or you have to build a reinforced concrete trench to protect the silver line, and when you do this, that's another set of costings. This kind of costings are also not cheap, and these will be additional costings when you are planning to do a rebuild. Other things can be like soil condition, because across Singapore there are variation in terms of the soil as well, so sometimes different kind of soil requires more reinforcement, and that also means additional costing, additional time needed. Of course, this is very common as well. We also want to avoid any non-approved renovations, because the moment you take over, this will be your legal right as a legal owner today to ensure that the home is in a good condition and there are no illegal alterations done as well. So if let's say there are any, technically if let's say the law comes in, then it's your responsibility as a new legal owner to reinstate it. And of course, if let's say you're not planning to rebuild, but you're planning to buy something that is already maybe moving condition, you're just planning to gut reno, you want to keep the structure. Other things that are key to look out for will be like your waterproofing. Has there been any serious water leakage issue that's still going on? Roofing, are there any roofing issues? Because all this can be very costly as well, and they do require some level of time to fix them up. Molding or algae, these are also very common household problems, especially if the home is not well maintained. So I think the best solution for this, especially if let's say you are a first-time home buyer, what we do here in our team at PropertyLimBrothers is that we like to partner with our professional building surveyors or building inspectors, who will then be able to further advise our clients into what's best for them in their interest. Because they are professionals, they're going to be able to spot all these different blind spots that generally as a layman we will not notice or will not observe. They are also able to advise you in terms of, let's say you want to rebuild or you want to do an A&A, what's the new GFA that you can perhaps build up to, what kind of layout will be ideal, what kind of layout can be done, where can you place the windows, staircase, lift. That's going to allow you to have a lot more flexibility in terms of your rebuilding or your reconstruction or even your renovation journey. So we've come to the end of today's episode. So very quickly, let's sum up again. There are 3 key factors for us to consider in terms of building our strong moat when we are buying our landed property for the first time. First of all, we always want to increase the price acceptability. We want to understand what's the disparity effect in terms of time, in terms of condition, what kind of price will be acceptable down the road or even in today's market. Second one, in terms of increasing the buyer's audience, so we always want to ensure that we have a nice, healthy pool of audience that's ready for us down the road so that we can increase our speed of exit as well. And the third one is to reduce any unexpected outcomes, because we do not want to be blindsided after we have already completed the transaction. So I think the key is to really engage someone who's professional, someone who's going to be taking care of your interest as a buyer as first priority as well. So once we have this very strong moat, then that's going to give us as buyers the power to walk away from any unfavorable conditions or unfavorable deals that might come along as well. So sometimes pricing is just not everything, because you can buy something that's very cheap, but let's say down the road no one's going to be able to accept that level of condition, that configuration, or that kind of home that we have also, then the pricing will not be able to appreciate as much as well. So we really want to make sure that we put ourselves in a position that we know how to spot this kind of mistakes and be able to walk out from it very confidently. That's also going to put us in a better negotiation position. It's also going to put us in a more favorable spot to have this higher chance in selecting the right property. It's going to allow us to increase both in terms of our buyer audience down the road as well as our capital price appreciation. So we want to invest in the landed that gives us that ease of exit and allow us to switch out to a better performing property portfolio when we want to as well. So that's all that we have for today. My name is Caline and I'll see you on the next episode. Okay, done.